Welcome to All About the Game podcast in association with Clinched. You can download our podcast on all platforms every Friday. Clinched is a sports app that helps link clubs with coaches. If you were a coach in rugby, soccer or GAA and you are ready for your next role or your first role, download and sign up to Clinched app for free today.
And Leinster looking to counter here. Sean O'Brien, well, if there's one player who can take a hit from Courtney Laws and stand and see it off and bounce off.
Raised thanks to the accurate free-taking of John Doyle. 2 points between the teams.
Football is hurling, and maybe in that moment should have slipped maybe very to go, like, have a conversation and say, I want to make that decision, but it ultimately comes down to them.
Hello and you're very welcome back to All About the Game podcast in association with Clinched. I'm joined by Johnny Dial. Johnny, how's the form?
All good, Podge. I feel a bit, I normally sit your side. I feel a bit on my comfort zone.
So mix things up a bit here this week.
Well, variety is the spice of life. You know what I say? But all good, Podge, yeah, and yourself?
Yeah, all good. All good.
Good,
you
good.
had a big week with the Oskars in Allenwood.
Yeah, we had a great weekend. I suppose it was... My plan this year was to play with the second team, so your lads think you have a lot of time, so I got drafted onto the executive in the club, which I avoided there for a good few years, but on the first meetings was, well, we need to start raising a few above, we want to do a few projects and we need to get new people involved in the club, so I got chatting a few different people and we decided to go with Kevin Rowe. He does all this entertainment stuff, and the Allenwood Film Awards, or the Oskars as they call it. So yeah, we'd 90 cast, and between extras we'd over 100 people involved and raised a few bob, and it was all shown in the night in Lawlers, and it was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Yeah, it was a really good night, great crack. Sold 600 tickets, which
Jesus.
If anyone was going to rob a house in Allenwood, Saturday night was the night to rob. There was no one left in the village. But no, brilliant. It was fantastic just to see everyone come together. And look at it, primarily was to raise funds with a few things to do, and went to redo the lights and stuff around in the club. But put that to one side, the camaraderie, the laughs, the fun. Get loads of people I knew in the village, but that's it. I knew their names, I knew them to see. But you just make so many new acquaintances.
Yeah, get to know them a lot more.
Yeah, sure. People you might have an opinion of because you saw them or you heard something. It's just totally different. It's just phenomenal. Brilliant night. We even got the tux out, Podge. It doesn't happen too often. And it was great. Really enjoyed it, and a great success, great community. Obviously, the club was to the fore, but it was a community event. Yeah. It was just phenomenal now.
Yeah, brilliant. Happy days. And you were on duty then with Clubber on Sunday, so it's a good thing it was an exciting game.
Yeah.
you might have been dozing off.
I know.
After a late one Saturday night.
I had a late one or an early one, whatever way you want to look at it. But it was on the Clubber then with Pat on Sunday. Really enjoyed the game, I have to say. It was being honest with you, I thought Naas would have to have an off day and Athy to have a good day. What did I think it was possible? Absolutely. But if I was putting a bet on, I would have put a bet on Naas, even though Athy were great odds of 4-1. Were definitely worth a punt, but you'd have to take your hat off to Athy. They were just so hungry for work, hungry, every break and ball, they were all over it, they threw their bodies on the line. And I saw them in the quarter final against Cara, and I came out thinking, Athy won't win a whole lot if they don't improve dramatically. Got a bit of luck in the semi-final against Ashes, but they say you should leave the best for the big day, and they certainly did that. They were full value for their money, and it was all over the field. There's some brilliant performances all over the field, and look at you can the winner, the winner takes it all. And Naas were two within the kick of a ball between it, going for 5 in a row. They're a phenomenal team. People forget that. I don't know when Rosebery back in the turn of the century, I think we're the last team to do more than 4 in a row. So look, it's not, you can look at, you to go down to some of the great teams, the Raheens, the Carberries in the 60s.
Yeah, that's what I suppose what makes it, as you say, you go back through, you would remember Raheens more in that era, and like when you think of the Sarsfields teams, and I know themselves and Moorfield would have been, you know, maybe taking them off each other for a few years.
Yeah.
But how hard it is done.
Just even just to win 3.
Yeah.
You know, it hadn't been done since the Sarsfields team of the 50s. Like you think of the Johnstown teams, that Towers team that won 3 back sort of in the late 90s, early 2000s, and the Clane team, like those, you know, around
the Clane team there as well, yeah.
Star-studded, like,
and
they couldn't do it. So it's you know, Naas deserve huge credit, but just on the day, Athy were the better team and the hungrier team, and they just wanted it more, and as I said, it's the big players stood up all over the field.
Yeah. Was, and look, we'll kind of look at a bit of a review, I suppose, and so we might as well start with the senior championship before we look at the intermediate, and we'll start, and as I said, with the final. Like, when you look at the Athy team, like, and you go through it, and Cottle McCarran, like, fair enough, he's pushing on, but obviously a huge player. James McGrath, wing back, you know, he's probably you know, one of the first names now on Brian Flanagan's team sheet there with Kildare. Kevin Feely, David Hyland, Niall Kelly, straight away. There's 5 like big names, but big players, like, you know. And then you throw in who have probably, you know, been knocking around there, but throw in the likes of Colin Moore and Ronan Kelly, who started the final, the 2 Spillans. Like, they're a really solid outfit. Everyone obviously, and it wasn't as if it was the Naas players thinking this, talking about Leinster. They know they have to go over Kildare first, but you know, the outside talk is always going to be like, of course they're going for 5 in a row, but there's no reason, like, that's a really strong Athy team. They're the ones that are going forward now with Leinster. You can see them leaving a mark on Leinster. You can see them doing well in the competition. Yeah,
well, I suppose it all depends. It's like Athy, it's 2020 since the one was won the last one, and like, you know, you mentioned some of the more seasoned players there, like if David Hyland and Niall Kelly, Kevin Feely, they know these don't come around like too often. So, you know, you enjoy it, absolutely. You celebrate. You have to celebrate. But then I would be shocked if the likes of those lads weren't saying, right, lads, now's the time to put the celebrations to one side and let's go and see where we can go, where we can get. Let's not be wondering, you know. And we've seen Kildare teams in the past maybe, you know, come to the first round, and when you'd expect the Kildare team to win, you know, they've fallen away. So I would imagine those boys will be keeping things, and I'm sure they had a right few days, and rightly so. That's what it's all about.
They look like some cracking there.
Sure, look,
on Instagram.
The Monday Club is the best club in the world. We've been,
look savage.
Yeah, we don't get there too often, but we enjoy it when we get there. But I would imagine that them boys will be knuckling down and say, let's see where we can go, you know, because sometimes it is the hardest championship to win is your own.
Yeah.
You know, and like obviously with Crokes gone now, I know Ballyboden are a series outfit too, but you know, Crokes were the kingpins of Dublin for the last few years. And
Ballyboden, you know, are maybe a similar to Athy, as in, not saying, but Crokes are the Naas, are seen as they're the favourites and they're going to win it, and maybe they would be favourites to win the All-Ireland if they were still in it, where Ballyboden maybe aren't considered at this moment in time where they're at.
There's, look, obviously when you go through that team, they've some right good footballers and a few, you know, household names, but there's a little bit of an unknown about Ballyboden. So I think Athy they'll embrace that, and they'll see where it'll take them, and rightly so, because as I say, you get your couple of days in the pub and you get, you know, in with your own people, in with the supporters, and as I say, but then it's back to business, and there's nothing like testing yourself against the best.
Yeah, that's it. And they do have a squad. Like, I was looking at it the other day, even going through their bench and looking at, like, Mark Hyland, Killian Mulhall, like, there's 2 players that have played lots of senior football for Athy. Poddy being really good prospect. And look, there's lots of lads here. Ronan Kelly obviously started, like Lee McGovern, Tony Gibbons, Kieran Farrell, Cian Reynolds, Derek Mulhall. Like,
lots of experience.
You know, like, or I'd imagine even if they're having 15 on 15 games, the quality that they'd have, like, you know, we often talk about Naas, the squad to have, but like, to be able to go 15 on 15, I'd say they have some cracker games in trainings.
And a lot, like, you name the lads you name, like, a lot of experience there, and it's coming on. And sometimes, you know, like, when you've that experience, you view the game, like, obviously they all want to play, and I get that, but you're you don't think at 21 the same as you do at 31, 32, 33. All of a sudden then, you know, maybe you have your own kids and you see what happens in the nursery of the club, and you see, you know, you're getting involved in coaching, and you see all the other stuff that goes on. When you're playing and you're a young lad, the club is running and you don't really know it's running. But when you saw, all of a sudden then it becomes more about the club than just yourself.
Yes.
If that's, you know, it's hard to explain that.
I actually, no, and I agree with you, and I think with Conor Ronan and Rossi Bell been over it, and then Paddy Dunn and James Eaton been involved, I'd say like everyone had bought into them, but then there was never really going to be probably a fallout, or, you know, maybe,
yeah, well,
I don't know, take one of the more experienced players not playing. I'd say they were all buying in and saying, look, if I'm not playing, but let's keep driving it on.
I think the big thing is that your leaders buy into what you're like. If you, for example, if you had, you know, maybe Hilo or Niall Kelly or Kev Feely, you know, not buying into what the boys are doing, then it becomes a problem. Yeah. Or if you have your leaders of the team, and I'm sure I'm missing one or two that, you know, that I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
But, you know, if they're on the same hymn sheet as the management, and they're driving the management's that management's plan and what they're trying to do, then everyone else just follows. Or if you have a little bit of a power struggle, or, you know, all of a sudden then something that happened, you know, down the town 10 years ago becomes an issue again, you know. So it looks like, and just listening to the comments and listening to or reading some of the reports, it looks like it's a very tight, from the outside. Yeah, I'm sure they have plenty of debates and plenty of arguments, but it looks like a very tight, a tight club at the moment. And like, as you go through, if we took out the Thai team from A7, that won the championship back then, you know, there's relations
parents
there, there's parents and uncles.
Did you see the club in Derry, Newbridge?
Yeah,
it was like a very 4 or 5 families that made up the team. Like, it's mental.
And that like, because, you know, there's nothing this, like, we as family you can have arguments, but when the chips are down, it's your family you call on, isn't it? And you're trying to build that family unit, and that is really hard thing to do. Like, to talk about culture but if
they are even awful, like the Kellys or say the Kellys or the Highlands or the Morans, like, they're all nearly even though they're not related, like, they're all very close. You said they would have been treaded down through the years. Football,
absolutely,
everyone
you've
it does come
to play. Purses there, like, the name's synonymous with Thai football, and but you have to give say, you know, like. I just always get the impression with even the county lads, the Niall Kellys and Kevin Feely, when they go back, when Kildare is over, they just become so ingrained in it. And I'm not saying it doesn't happen in other clubs.
No, but it is hard sometimes. If you're coming off the back of a long season, sometimes with Kildare, you don't see, maybe all the time, you don't see the county players at their best with the clubs. It just happens, or for different reasons, or you might see maybe some players haven't got much game time for Kildare and they're rusty, or they're not or they don't fit back into a team in a certain way.
It does happen. And you know, like, I was always, when I played with Kildare, I always felt that, you know, there was never a time, even though we were stuck, it could be, you know, you weren't released for a club game, we might be struggling for league points, and you're thinking, jeez, if you might make a difference if you come on for half and you're there and you can't, and you're not, and the club never put any pressure on you. But I always had it in my head, and okay, when you treat your club the same as you did the county, like, and I get that impression from the Thai boys, you know, if you wouldn't just you wouldn't think of missing a Kildare session on a Thursday night because tired tonight. But then you shouldn't do that with your county, because you have to come in and add to the thing. And if, like, I would remember when I was training, if Ken Doyle came back from training with the county, he nearly put a pep in your step.
And you definitely think that is what I'm not saying. It's not. It's not the case with Naas. I'm sure it is, but, like, say Naas are probably strong in the league anyway, and have a huge, where Athy maybe were up and down in the league. But as you said, I'd say when, like, the boys walk back in, I'd say all this, like, so as a manager, like, I'd say you don't have to do it. Like, the guys just come in and it's like everything goes up, and it becomes like good. Everyone gets a bounce off it.
And that's now. there could be lads listening to this in the Tyson Jesus or as far out as lives, but you don't get that impression.
No, definitely not. No, definitely not.
But and as I say, like the same as you said there, Podge, the same. Like you go through that Naas team, there's some fantastic players in it. Like just on the day,
and
were better. And
there was like even just looking here at the program in front of me, like Sean Moore. There's players here that you wouldn't see much of, or you're kind of more following it in the county. Like he was excellent. The Splans obviously have been around. I thought Michael Splan, Alex Byrne was a great battle. Like I thought Michael Splan done really well. I thought Alex started really, really well, and that's where I thought Michael Splan done excellently. That when Alex got the run on him early on, and Alex still played well. I was surprised they left the three kind of big names maybe at times closer up in the Athy half, but I thought it was a really good battle. He looks like he looks well built and strong. He looks like a kind of the makings of a inter-county.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, and would have played a lot of under it. Would have come through the development squads and that. And
would he? Yeah, you know him from.
What age
is Michael's plan then?
He'd be. I tell you what he is. Now he's about. I think he's under 23 still. I think this could be he's 22 or 23.
Right. Conor Dyle at 12. He'd an excellent 10 or 15 minutes there. Where
he's developed into a brilliant
monster.
footballer.
Yeah,
and he's got so big and he looks strong. Like I remember Conor. He was in and he would have been around that. I think he's around the same age as James McGrath and that age, and would have been on the county minors, but just struggling to break into it. But he's a really good
footballer.
Player, he's Mossy's.
Is he
Mossy's nephew? I think. Could be
right,
wrong with
actually.
that. But
I don't know that Mossy has.
Don't know how he's let that one get away. Podges are slowing up there, the Larrys. But anyway,
no, he's a good bit of stuff.
And I thought Brian Mara, this savage.
He covered some of the ground.
And he carried.
He was actually. He was probably more impressive in the second half because when lads were starting to tire out, he was still going at the same pace as he was in the first half.
Yeah, he was. I thought he was immense.
And then obviously a word for Barry Kelly.
I thought Barry, like he was.
Yeah, some game. I'm nearly laughing when I laugh when I'm saying his name is in because Barry, I found him funny going in at half time. He hits an ace lad. I don't think gives it the big.
He was in the zone, wasn't he?
He was just like he was fired up, but not like fired up in a good way, as in not nervous or like like just went out and played with a freedom, and look, he's pacey. He finished well. I think one of the points off his left foot. Like you were saying, he's not probably considered with. I'm sure Naas weren't going, Barry Kelly kicked 4 or 5 points, whatever.
No,
but the composure he showed back onto the left foot over the bar. The composure he scored to score the goal was really good to take the hop.
Absolutely,
he was immense.
I suppose at times, like looking at Athy down the years, you'd be like Barry be getting involved and things. Barry, there's no need for you to get involved. Where while he was stepping up to the line, it was you felt it. Anything like that was sort of energising him more than getting stuck in and there is a funny
sometimes
balance.
But like
there's no need.
He was really, or he hit like even the Naas. It wasn't just give him a bit of a dump. It was nearly even the further crowd, but it was. No,
he was excellent, and he won a mounted dirty ball there and carried it. Just got out of trouble, and even when he went down with cramp. I didn't think he was going to come off because I thought I had one, and then he was really bad. But then I'd say he got back on the line, and I'd say he said, "Oh my God, I can't believe I'm on the line here."
I'd say he has to cover a lot of ground to get cramp because I don't know if was he in with Glenn or I can't remember, but he was up the top of the runs.
I know he's a good lad.
To run, but he'd some game. He kind of.
Well, it was
he dragged the tie maybe because even I thought Athy played well in the first half, but they weren't converting. And when it went 8-4 down, it was a real if this goes 9-10-4, it could get away from them.
Yeah, and I think in that stage, Dara Cowan hit the
outside the post. Yeah.
And if that went in, you're thinking, but they kept battling bad, and then went from there 4 points down to a point up at half time.
I'd say they didn't want half time to come because they were really rolling at that stage. But it'll obviously to play Baltinglass. I think it's down for Saturday or Sunday week.
But worthy champions for
they are worthy champions, and they beat Sarsfields in a semi-final, who people will consider. That they had beaten Naas earlier. So they are. They're definitely worthy champions, and like with that. They'll be back again next year.
Absolutely,
it's not a case of Naas will be Naas will be back in the mix, but that's a good, very good Athy team.
It is a good Athy team, but like you wouldn't back against.
No, they'll still be the favourites.
Last 2 minors after winning, like the conveyor belt is still in full production.
I suppose for Naas, I suppose hindsight, everyone was saying Jez Philly McMahon some appointment, and then when they lose they say Jez Mag getting Philly McMahon.
But that's I don't buy into any of that rubbish.
I know, but it's
like
it's but it's always the way.
Always the way. Yeah.
But they'll be disappointed, as you said, like what a team they have.
Like you go through that Naas team, like James Burke was missing, Owen Lawler was missing, Tom Brown was only come back from injury. There was someone else I was saying, there was someone else that would probably be on there. I can't think who it is.
It could have been Dermot Hanavan. He only came on. That's a big player for them. Yeah,
you know, so like that's nearly a third of your team straight.
Yeah, they were down a few lads, and still probably not overly happy with their full performance as a team. They'll probably go away.
Well, look, we talked about the big leaders in Athy. You know, we probably didn't get as much as Naas would have liked out with our Kerwin. The struggle they thought around the middle. Yeah, you know, you question maybe to give up a lot of kickouts. You're thinking, gee, let's put a bit of pressure.
That one, I don't like. When I seen the team sheets, and obviously Paul McDermott has lots of experience. He's been around, and Fintan Quinn's a young player. I definitely fancy the tie with Feely, and look, Kevin Feely and David Hyden's as good as midfield. As
there is actually, yeah.
And I fancied them in that area big time, and that's where I thought maybe Naas might bring Alex out to maybe compete out around there. But they get this. I didn't feel like they could get real momentum off. You know the way if you get 2 or 3 kickouts of the opposition, and you get Shane Jackman, who had gone in goals for Athy, had originally played wing back. Now they went long a few times and they won them. They tried to go over it. But I definitely thought Athy, when they gave up the kickouts, they nearly overturned them once, and they were it was borderline if it was a free or not, but they got the free out. But Athy built a lot of attacks, and were quite good at it, doing it that way.
You know, like I saw Naas against Raheens earlier in the championship, and Naas did the same to give, and then they brought them into the middle of the battle zone and took the ball off them. Yeah, and destroyed
Raheens that way.
But you have to look at the quality. Like you have a lot of really good ball players and strong players. Like you look at Colin McCarron, while he's more years behind him, he has ahead of him. But he's physically very strong.
And I thought he struggled a bit in the first 10 minutes. But then he looked great. He kicked 3 from play and had really good. Just I don't know why. Just in 10 minutes he just looked a bit and then off it or something. But then he had a really good game.
Athy are good. They're good with the ball in their hands.
Yeah, they are. Yeah,
just to give them so much ball, and they don't cough it up too easy.
No, they didn't.
So. But look, it's like
they were actually strong runners in that. Like I know Michael Spillane kicked the wide, but Sean Moore kicked 2 points. And set up 2 that he could have tapped over himself. Like Darren Lawler had the shot. It was a weak enough shot, but they got the goal off it. Like James McGrath got forward. I think he kicked the point.
He did.
They had good runners. Colin McCarron kicked 3 points, so that's even like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points there straight away from.
You felt Athy were playing that all-out attacking football where they just bombed forward, flushed out runs, got ahead of the ball. And
so they had options. There wasn't lads hiding when they were.
But see, it's risk reward then, Podge. Like so, if you're giving away that ball, so if Sean Moore decides to bomb forward, next thing the ball is turned over, and that defence is totally out of shape. But they seem to have the confidence that when we bomb forward, we're not going to give this ball away. And they didn't. To be fair to them,
they're good footballers. They don't cough it up often.
No, they don't. No, because you're leaving.
Well, I suppose the one time they did, as you said, Derek Irwin, they coughed it up and Naas didn't finish, and it could have been
game over.
Yeah, well, it was heading away from them.
An uphill battle.
Dara just seems, and I know he'd be disappointed with his own performance on the weekend, and like I know he was carrying a lot of injuries towards the end of the year with Kildare, and often people from the outside probably go, Derek Irwin, he didn't play well.
He looked tired.
Yeah, he looked tired. He looked nearly like someone that needs to. And look, I know he's been playing college football with Maynooth the last few years, been a long few years, but he was carrying a lot of injuries. I'd say sometimes it's just hard to get the 2 or 3 months to actually step away and go, right, I'm going to sort out these injuries, do whatever rehab I need to do, because I wouldn't be surprised if is sore, if he's not, and that can be a difficult situation when your body is not allowing you to do maybe what you usually do, because he's a class player.
Yeah, like that or appetite.
Yeah,
they have the hunger for the game, and sometimes, and it's because
but you can say yourself, oh yeah, I am going to be, but like everyone has them periods. Everyone has them periods in their career where it's like, or then you even think fucking, or nothing's going for me.
But you see, like, we can't talk about both. We're talking about Athy and, to just straight back into the club. And I'm sure Alex, or I'm sure Dara will be the same and trying to, keep the boys going. But if he's mentally, and I don't know, he just looked a bit tired.
Yeah, he did look tired.
And you know what, Podge? He's allowed to, like, the standard that Dara sets himself. If he's a little bit below that, it's a good game for everyone else, but it's because you expect so much out of him. Like, every time he gets the ball, you're expecting to score. So like, I wouldn't be too hard on him.
No, absolutely not. He's
a good lad. Like,
he's still a top player.
But I just felt
the beauty for Naas is with Kerwin and Byrne and Sinky. If one of them is off, like Sinky was he kicked a few lovely points the other day. I would have had my house on him to kick that 2-pointer at the end. I thought of all lads to fault. I went, felt
strange one as well. I noticed, and it's funny, look, it's you can live and die by decisions, but that the chance for the 2-pointer that Alex had, he put on, and that was probably 2 or 3 yards outside the 45, but he's a big boot on him. But he was taking it on, and it looked like
Philip McMahon told him not to. I was shocked by that as well. Yeah.
Now, listen, if you're giving it, and next thing they kicked it over, he said it's a great move. And
don't you need a 1-pointer, but
you just felt.
I would have fancied Alex to kick that.
I did too, because he kicked one before.
And Alex would have fancied himself.
Well, obviously, when he was putting it on the ground, he was.
The one he kicked before was only a few metres closer, but he cleared the net.
Oh, it cleared it.
I couldn't believe that they didn't go for the 2-pointer, because they still even had time, a minute and a half, 2 minutes, so it wasn't like it was the last kick.
Yes.
Now, I know, as you said, they worked it in, and Sean Hannafin hit one maybe that 9 times out of 10 he's kicking over the bar, but it went wide. But I was very, very surprised he didn't go for the 2-pointer.
I thought it was,
now look, if Sean Hannafin kicks that one, chances are Sinky dummies inside and brings it into the small D and kicks it over the bar and draw the game at the end. But it definitely seemed like
well, just when you have the free taker and he's confident in it and he thinks it's on.
And it was only outside the 40, it wasn't range.
It was. I would have felt so, but look, it was a strange one.
But I say, like, say Naas be disappointed. They maybe don't have as like, they have a lot of really good, like when you go through Mark McGuire, Rob Fitzgerald, they're not county, but they're really good tight cornerbacks. Brian Byrne there, Dyler, Paddy McDermott. Maybe Paddy McDermott didn't have his. He'd pop up with 2 or 3 points or be more buzzy, but that's probably a credit to Athy as well. But as you say, look, that Naas team with what they have coming through as well, they'll be favourites for the championship next year.
They will, of course.
I'd say there is a huge disappointment in obviously losing the game, and it's not that they would have been thinking, Leinster and looking past Athy, because I don't think that would have been the case at all. Especially, I think
everyone else thinks to do.
No, because there's outside noise. People say, sure. But I'm sure it was a big ambition that after the disappointment of Leinster the last few years, Kilmacud aren't there, to maybe have a favourite.
Absolutely.
That fucking opportunity to get back into Leinster. It doesn't mean they look past Kildare, but to win at Leinster was, I'm sure.
Well, you have to win in 4 in a row. There was a couple of occasions there, they were right in it in the Leinster final and thinking, another little bit. But when you're at the top of the mountain, you have to go back to the start. It's a long climb again, and
that's it.
And you have to climb. You have to take one step at a time. And I say, I don't believe for any that's the likes of Owen Dial or any of these ways are saying, "Come on, get this Kildare championship. We have to give Leinster a rattle," because the other these ways they're too long around to start thinking that way. It just doesn't work that way.
And absolutely not.
I wouldn't for 1 minute think that. Obviously, the outside is a bit like, say, I remember people said to me, you should just concentrate on Leinster. And I'm thinking, do you think we? Like,
you're not right.
It's only we let Loud beat us. Like, this sort of rubbish.
I was laughing when and Hilo said it in the speech. The Leinster Council, and obviously that's not to do with this. But it must be lovely for her to tell you, like, whoever spotted that and seen it, talk about something to drive you on.
Sure, look,
you'd pick whoever done that in the Leinster Council gave a tie, a nice little
a typo.
You're looking for something to pin on the wall,
and you do. It's look at it's respect. you're playing for, like.
Yeah.
And if anyone shows, you're just looking for little nuggets to just to drive
yeah,
things on.
Yeah, so.
But
I actually thought the quality in the game was really good as well. I thought it was good. Sometimes I know the new rules have come into effect, but like some really good scores kicked. So you said like Athy didn't give away the ball much. Like Naas then clawed their way back as champions do and put themselves when they look dead and buried in with a chance. I thought it was a great game to watch, but I thought the quality, the fitness, the strength of both teams was top.
Yeah, it was a good county final now as we had in the last few years. To be fair, and credit to both teams that went about. And fairness to. Now, I'm sure there's to be a couple around Naas that thought it was a couple of decisions maybe against it, but I thought in general the ref, Brendan Coy, let it flow, let them go ahead. He wasn't given soft freeze, but he wasn't given. I didn't think he was giving anyone soft freeze. No, I was the same.
There was one or two where everyone at the crowd are going to get pushed. Or if you give it the other way, then the other crowd are going to be on your back. I said likewise. I thought it didn't impact.
I think he just wanted to let the two teams play out and let them at it.
For sure. And that's a wrap on the year for another year, I suppose. It was something you had mentioned before, Johnny. It probably maybe the disappointing factor was not having, maybe it was the four same teams in the semi-finals, and maybe sometimes you're waiting for, probably there would have been talk about Raheens or an upcoming team. Cara, in fairness, done really well getting to a quarter final. Moorfield maybe have slipped from the dominant team they were, but looking towards that kind of, is there a surprise team? Maybe Salins could be the team, and we'll talk about that game in a few minutes. They look like they're ready for senior football. It's kind of the same four teams that are dominating Kildare, and maybe look like if it's the same four semi-finalists next year, you wouldn't be surprised.
No, you wouldn't.
Maynooth even as another one I should mention.
You wouldn't be. Yeah, the last 3 or 4 years it has been the same four teams, and I suppose it augurs the question: is there a different model to try improve? To bring more teams into it, like if you look at the Kerry model, and it's very easy to come up with suggestions because there's impacts, there's ripple effects. Like you have to play, if you're going to try bring regional teams into it, you're going to have to get your junior championship played earlier. You're going to have to get your intermediate championship played earlier. Where does if you were say you were going to go for 8 club teams, for example, 8 club and 8 regional teams or something like that, and there's an awful lot of
it could take years of organising before you'd even.
But it just does it all go better for a club championship, and then a Kildare improve the standard of football that would. So, for example, if you and I'm just off the top of my head, and you can take any region, including my own of West Kildare or. But if you said, say, South Kildare, right, and you had Castledermot, Lawrence's, which are both intermediate for the moment, and we'll talk about Lawrence in a minute. Bringrange, Castle Mitchell, Ribbon, take them, and then so you pick a team from them, and it's only
use an example.
But like, how good would that? How
strong?
The
heads of each other tread.
Well, how strong would that team be?
Yeah,
you go through it, like you put all the names down. It'd be so hard to pick, but
would it be a cracker of a game?
You have Ross Harris, we'll say, and James Harris, right, playing with Rory Lawler and Emmett O'Keefe, all. So like, if there was buy-in, how strong would that? And then you've another one in West Kildare. You've another one maybe mid.
Does it nearly become like a Tyrone Championship where there's nearly a different winner every year, or there's such a I
just think the likes of certain clubs, if they're playing at the higher level in a really strong competitive, I think it has to improve players, and it has to improve the standard of football in Kildare, and it gives an opportunity for maybe a junior player at Garvan, for one of it, a chance. We're watching him playing now in the quarter final of a senior championship. Yeah. Is he going to get better playing with lads where everyone around him is standards better, and give him a chance to be a Kildare footballer?
It could come back to, as you said, there could be players playing in junior, intermediate that are at the lower end, or like, Lawrence say were relegated last year, and of course no one wants to get relegated. But like everyone's saying, just can't get relegated. I've been senior for this many years. Now, like say if I thought when I started playing with Lawrence's we were in county semi-finals, brilliant, or you think your time is going to come.
Yeah.
And then it kind of towards maybe the last 5 or 6 years, like but winning the first round championship and trying to stay safe. But that kind of becomes like a bit knowing you can't win the competition.
Yeah,
well, and you can't. Look, of course, everyone goes into the competition to win, but is Allenwood going to win the senior championship next year? They're not, and it's. Well, of course, that's your aim at the start of the year. You go back and you want to win your games, but it's been the same 4 teams: Naas, Athy, Sarsfields. Now, are Allenwood going to win it in 5 or 6 years? Of course, you're trying to grow each year and get to that level.
But then you've the old argument about urban rural. Do you know, town,
like,
You drive into Naas now, like, and sure, the place is jammed from morning to night. Yeah. There's houses been built everywhere.
Yeah.
Do you know, where you go years ago, like we would have had a lot. If I went through our team that won the championship in 2004, the vast majority of them or a lot of them not living in Allenwood because number one, they can't get planning. Now there is some of them, don't get me wrong, but someone's gone here, someone's gone there, someone's gone there, because we're taken out of the country to move into the towns. And that's a whole other debate. Yeah. But like we'd have lads moved out of Allenwood because they've land there, they've sites, and they just can't be allowed to build on them. They have to, and where you could, maybe build in a rural area and put a fine house, you're going then into a town paying huge money, which means you've lost that, and your kids are growing up in the town, and you lose that sort of connection with the club. It'll always be your club, don't get me wrong, but you do lose the connection in it. So, and I think it's a bigger area. And I know there is a study done on the demographics around Kildare. There's some, with the trends the way they're going, there's some clubs in Kildare under serious pressure to stay existing, which is not ideal either. And you go through even the Naas teams like that have won minor championships. Like if we won a minor championship, you'd be saying that's us sorted for now the next 10 years. Yeah. Like I think there's a Naas team in 18, and there's someone gave me the stat recently. There's 2 of them playing football at the moment. Right. Because they just can't break into such a strong and so
just when you're mentioning it, like you see it there with the minor, was Nave Breed, which was made up of Nerney and Ellistown in the B final against St Oliver Plunkets, who was 2 Mile House, Ballymore. I'm not too sure. Was it? So, but again, would they reach the final on the road? Now, obviously, underage, they have to make sure that they're fielding teams and stuff, but it just goes to show, like, it's something probably, Johnny, it's maybe it's, I'm not saying it's not a huge issue now, as in, but it's going that way, that in 5-10 years, if it was still the same teams that were competing at the top, then it's maybe or they could go the other way, or they could bring it back to, they've talked about bringing it back to 10 teams in the senior championship. But
even if they did bring it back to 10 teams, at this moment in time, is there 10 of them 10 teams, and you can name any 10 teams, would you put money in any on them all to it? No, you wouldn't. No. You wouldn't.
Yeah, no, not.
And that's I don't think that's healthy for
well, as you said, Naas won a minor the other day. They were in under 14 fail.
Yeah.
So they are going to be, as you say, and look, that's fair play to them.
Oh, but that's not their fault.
No, like
they open their gates and whoever wants to come in. And
but
how many seriously good players that get to that level? Even if they want to stay playing, there's no opportunity to play at the highest level, because you can only pick 15.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, sure, even I think I thought that was a mad one when I looked at Naas winning it in we talked about it last week, only 5 of the team. It shows the competition. Now, no one may be expecting Naas to win that year, but they're just.
But you even looked at Podge, and it's just, it was one guy, and I don't know. He could be playing a bit of second team. He could be in, I don't know where he is, but a couple of years ago when Naas beat Sarsfields, Jack Cleary was a lad. She's a big lump of lad, great athletic, playing in the middle of the field for Naas, and like, he's just not a word about him. And I'm thinking, this lad has potential to go on and play. Like, he had everything.
Yeah.
And I say he could be in Australia. I don't know where he is.
Yeah.
But you're thinking, if he was in Allenwood now, you'd be doing. Like, he wouldn't be allowed sneeze to be someone. If he missed a half a session, but where's Jack?
Yeah.
Do you know? And I just think you can get swallowed up, and it's not Naas' fault. I think it's just, and I'm thinking, like, there's so many good players. Are we losing them? You know, I just think the structure
to more competitive and have more of them games maybe that you see on Sunday, and the high quality and like exposure to them.
You can imagine,
games.
just for example, and take a West Kildare playing against Athy or a Naas in a semi-final, and you had Carby Clotterink or try ourselves into it, Johnstown Bridge. No, like.
I know there's a lot of thought that is to make
pick a fair team there and if you know, you need every club to buy into it.
Yeah, that's I know, and then
there's a lot of moving parts.
As said,
but
it's Castlederm, you could use the better example. Yeah. But there is. But then that would be who said if Carby and Johnstown Bridge are going to play it, you could say, well, you're fucking joking me. Well,
but you'd be surprised because like we amalgamate underage with Ballyteague, when we play each other. Don't get me wrong, it was huge. We don't want to beat them. There's a huge rivalry there, but when you're underage,
and the FINA were
like,
and it definitely helped all your clubs and the FINA coming up because you were in a semi-final.
Yeah, so your lads that were going to play, your traditional lads, the lads that really were into their football, were playing at a higher level, which meant they're serving their time at the highest level. Where you drop back to A, B, C, D, you're picking up bad habits. Because you're
dominating a game and having to run the length of the pitch as opposed
and
to,
you're picking up all the bad habits. So look at it. I just think it might be something worth looking at.
But look, certainly on the overall, I'm sure Brian Flanagan's seen plenty of and picked out plenty of players throughout the championship as well that might add. As I said, even on Sunday alone, there's probably going to be a few in. And then look, obviously Sarsfield's in, like the likes of Ben Lokeman, or I know he was with the 20s. There's lots of good players in there, and Selbridge maybe, who have actually a lot of players that are already in there. There was wing back. Dean
Dunno.
No, but on the other side, he hasn't been on the panel. I think he played underage with Kildare. His name won't come to me now. Quick.
I know the lad you're talking about.
Can't think of his name. So, but another good player, and I mentioned Darragh Crowley. Players like that throughout the championship. That I think Galligan from Clotterink was, and sometimes you don't know. As you say, with you don't know with some of these players until you put them into that environment, but play up against.
And you see, you talk about that, and you bring him in. So you take someone like Brian Maher. You bring him in. So he's playing at that level, club level, and the step up now is huge. So you bring him in, and maybe he'll struggle, and then you're thinking, okay, we just keep him going. So you invest time, you try to get him, and maybe picks up an injury, and then he drops a bit, and then there's so many different things. And then where does the point? So look, we're giving this lad 2 years now. Is he any further on? Maybe he starts doubting himself because he's not getting as much time, and maybe someone in the club has said to him, what are you doing in there? Look, it's not getting any football. And then he's doubting, and then so you have to be very strong minded. You have to go in to say, here, I'm in here to play, and push as hard as you can, and take the setback.
And it could actually take you a year to get
absolutely
with the players what they have now in terms of the gym behind them,
and you have to you have to develop physically, but you also have to be able to say, listen, yesterday didn't go well for me, I have to go back and go again, and you have to step out from the crowd. If you top it, and that's a really difficult thing, because you go into the county setup and you have your head down, you're sort of doubting whether you're good enough to be in there in the first place, and then you've established place. You have to come off the field, and Brian Flanagan, or it was Mick O'Dwyer when I was there, has to be saying, Jesus,
see something there, he's standing out, he's doing
for
something
for something. It might be, Jesus, that lad's, he's first out every night. That could be enough just for them to talk about. You have to put your hand up. And that's the biggest thing. And I say you have to be driven, and that could guarantee you not neither. But it's a great challenge for somebody to come in and say, you know what, I want to play at the highest level.
Yeah, and I suppose the O'Byrne Cup might allow that as well. Being back, people sometimes give out about or whatever, but it's a good opportunity for I'm sure he'll use it to his advantage to try and test players, whether it be 7 or 8 with their more experienced lads. Well,
that's it. But I suppose the lads you want to bring in, the challenge for them is the lads you want to bring in the younger lads who are playing in the middle of Sigerson as well. So
I know it can be,
and then difficult. You have to look at. You can look at. Now I know it's different now. The pitches they're all sand-based pitches and they're not as mucky and sloppy in January. But you could take the likes of Owen Cully, for example, and like you put him into a Burn Cup on a wet Wednesday night down in Carlow, and he doesn't look great. What's going to look in July in Crow Park when he's just eating the ground?
Yeah, 100%.
But look,
it's different.
And then maybe that's where your management have to be able to see that and not to be listening. I saw him down in Carlow. He wasn't worth this shit. Do you know?
Yeah,
so
it is. It's different.
There's so many
altogether.
different things. Yeah. So many things come into play.
I suppose the conclusion of the intermediate championship as well with Salins and Lawrence's, and look, I don't think it was any surprise to anyone from 2 or 3 months ago. The winners, and look, we've seen Naas maybe were considered as hot favourites. But Salins were really impressive throughout that intermediate championship. I actually watched it back again the other night. But to be fair to them, the closest anyone got to them was 10 points, and that was 3 games. I think it was Towers, Milltown and Lawrence's. But they were just consistently good. They're big players. Lawrence's are probably... A lot of people talk about Salins going, oh sure, they bottled it the last 2 or 3 years. I don't want to say they bottled it the last 2 or 3 years.
No, I would disagree.
Because they've a very young team.
Yeah,
but this year they looked like they were really ready for senior football. They looked good Division 1, really strong and consistent throughout the championship. Like Colin Dalton's off the back of a good year with Kildare, Keane Grimes, Darren Mangan, all them players that, like Luke Kelly, Glenn, they're all younger kind of players that have come. You know, they're 22, they're hitting their kind of, and probably haven't peaked yet, but you know, really coming to the fore, and they were really consistently good. And again, they were just, I think with Lawrence's the other night and chatting to a few people after, maybe after a game sometimes say, oh jeez, if this happened, or turning points in the game. But I think everyone was acceptance that Salins are a few years ahead of maybe even where Lawrence's are at, because when you look at Rory Lawler, TJ Nolan, Sen and Murphy, like, I couldn't believe I was involved with 23s Lawrence's, and someone said Kevin Eustace under 23s. I said, what? He seems like, but he's still one of the more experienced players, and he's under 23. Salins are probably just a few years ahead, and they were deserving winners. And I have to say in there, Colin Dalton was...
Colin Dalton's the real deal.
Yeah, he's the real deal.
He's the most exciting player for me in the county.
Likewise. And he marked Kieran O'Sullivan, who I think is on Brian Flanagan's radar at the minute. And rightly so. He had a really good championship, and he's tall and he's fast. And he actually, do you ever mark a player and you might kick a few points, but you go, fuck, I had to work hard to lose the player. Yeah. And then a lad might say to you, Jay, you skint him, but you're kind of going, where you might mark a lad that's maybe not as good and things don't go your way. Yeah. But Sully was like, there was one tackle he made in the first half where Dalton sprinted from halfway and looked like and it was straight into Dalton's pat, and Sullivan just got the hand back in. And it was this just before half time, was game over. He got brilliant tackle, but Dalton just kept probing and going, and he's actually impossible to mark when he's in that form. Yeah, well,
I think Colin Dalton has everything in regards to, he's 2 brilliant feet, he's classy, he's skillful, and that's great, and you need that at the highest level, and he has all that. But it's the other stuff he has. You know, he will work, he'll graft. You can, you know, he's tough out, not dirty but tough. Yeah. You can play him anyway. He'll take it all day and he'll eat it up. He just, for me, he's everything you'd want in a player. You know, no nonsense, no back. I would have seen him coming through the squads. He was involved with that, you know, with the team that won the 20s, the won the All Ireland that year. He's of that age, and even from a very young age, he stood out for just his, you know, his application. He's, like I said, there's no bells and whistles.
He wants to be the best that he can be,
and not in a, you know, he's not he's not in a flashy way. He doesn't talk doesn't talk about it, but he just works really hard.
Yeah,
he just and he's
As
just
you
a
said, he
really.
has
I think
all
he's
that.
just a really good guy.
Well, the point
you know?
he kicked, he came sprinting from the far sideline in, coming onto his left foot and under pressure from Kieran O'Sullivan. But he was travelling at top speed, coming onto his favourite foot, his right foot, coming onto his left foot outside the arc, booted it over the bar. It was just a real and I'm sure as a defender sometimes you're on, how the fuck do I stop this lad? But he was just he was brilliant. And look, as I said, Luke Killian's wing forward there, he's into counties,
decent,
he's been in around panels.
He's
Stephen
a good
Kelly,
worker.
James Dalton had a really good championship. That they're
Luke Kelly, he's I like him as well, wing back.
He's quick, and he kicked a 2-pointer as well, and showed good composure. Owen McConnon got forward. Paul Farley compliments Darragh Mangan, but I think there'll be a lot. I think they'll be ahead of a lot of senior teams. I think they'll be top 8. They're really ready for senior, and they're a good side. And as I said, look to Lawrence's, they got to a final with. I said, I think the win against Castledermot was kind of the big one for the younger lads, to come out, because there was a real Castledermot tough, hard, side.
They're tough, dogged team.
And look, maybe a bit of luck with the 3 up that night, but you have to put yourself in your position to make the luck. And I think it just on the night they just ran into a very, very good Salins team.
And there's no disgrace in that either.
No.
I mean, as you say, you go through it, you've TJ, Senna Murphy, Roy Lawler. They're all young lads. As you say,
Tom Dooley, even Niall O'Connor is still young. They have a lot of you. I just think they're probably, as I said, maybe 2-3 years, maybe in terms of age profile. And look, Salins were beaten in maybe not finals but semi-finals when I think it was a really good year for Lawrence's.
Well, when you go back, you went down last year to get back to a final. It doesn't
when Maynooth were the only team since 2009 to bounce straight back up, and it is a tough intermediate championship to and look, they got a bounce with Noel Mooney.
They have to. The thing for them now is to stick together and say, right, that disappointment, if it drives them in the right way, and it's funny, it's as an individual, right, what can I do to make myself better for next year, right? And I don't get me wrong, Podge, I'm not saying you could back train, but it's lads do we need to get a bit of strength work done? Can I go there's my dad's for 74. Twice a week he goes down to the field. He'll jog a lap. He'll walk a lap. He'll jog.
It's probably the way football has gone, as you said. Now you have it's kind of the 2 or 3 months.
Yeah,
it's not, you said, it's not meeting up or whatever.
No, but it's just keeping yourself right. Maybe getting out for a couple of 5Ks. For if nothing, it's for your getting out and walking up a sweat, come home, get into a shower, go to bed, whatever. But it's doing something now and not getting into the mindset. People say, I need a break. And of course you do. You need a break from having to be down in the field from 7 o'clock. I can't go. So, I mean, if you want to go off on a Thursday night, great, go off. But do something in the week. To get yourself in a better position. And I think...
Yeah, well, look, hopefully now there'll be a good few of them lads in with Kildare 20s as well, which would be great for them as well. Great.
Yeah.
You talk about playing at a high level again. It's more exposure to that.
But I do think, and you can see, there's a sort of a narrative out there saying, players are asked to do too much. I don't think Gaelic footballers train too hard. I really don't. If you look at a boxer, they train hard. Or you look at a swimmer.
Well, it probably comes back to anyway. It's if your fucking neighbour is doing more, then you're falling behind. So with clubs, and they are.
But I still think from an individual point of view, I know we're getting off but if you've a group of lads and they say, right, we're finished now, I'll take a week with nothing, don't want to be home every evening, watch telly, but then I'm going to start just doing a bit for my general fitness or something. I'm going to get to the gym and to enjoy it. And say I've that in the bank now, and I'm building my little blocks all the time. So when I go back, that I'm not thinking, I'm after training, I need a break. you know, just do a bit the whole time.
I'm not saying like I done this because you were always different mindset. So if anyone's listening, Podge forward, you run on the off season.
No, I just think if you know,
I need you in my ear. But yeah, no, it is, and because there's an opportunity then for you'd hope, please God, that Lawrence can push again next year. But look, you know all about it, how tough that. I remember you saying, "Jeez, you were a kick of a football from going out of the championship." Theory has won it, like But I do think it was
back to Colm Dalton. Fair play to him. He kept us in it. But I suppose my point being, if you can get a group of lads that are a group of people that are driven to do something, the world is your
very hard to stop.
But it's very, very, very difficult, and I'd include Allenwood, or I'd include Leinster or any, to get everybody buying into the one team, because you'll have you know, Harry Doyle saying, my poor Johnny's getting a raw deal. He's not getting a raw deal. If he's not been playing, he's not getting a raw deal. That's fair. And it's great, because look, I went home after being taken off at Allenwood, throw the bag in the corner, and my mother would tell me, I thought you were great, and I loved it. Do you know what I mean? But like, just buy into something for a certain period of time and say, look, I'm just going, if I'm not asked to play, I'm going to give something. I'm going to do something to be positive. It's a powerful thing, and I think that's where teams maybe just fall down a little bit. Extra.
Yeah, no, look, it's good, I suppose. Turn into a bit of a review of the two finals, but the War, as said, Salins will be interesting to see now in senior championship next year, and
plus the Leinster campaign, and I'm sure they will. Like the last two Kildare teams have to win in Leinster,
I think they'll,
and they might have a, you know,
they could, without they're
a good squad,
very good. It's funny looking back at seeing you were beaten by Culliana. They're in an Armagh final. Carr were beaten by Crossmolina. They were favourites for Mayo. There's a lot of I was kind of thinking, like, you know, in terms of if Salins were in a county final and they're a really strong team, I'd be really surprised. If, like, we're talking about the best four, where like Armagh championship is strong, they're going to the final. Crossmolina, the Mayo championship is really strong. Maybe there's less teams, I don't know, but they've we've seen it with others, and look, obviously. But
again, Paul, I'll go back to the point. If you have a group of lads that are driven to do something, regardless of what it is, it's a very powerful thing. But it's the couple of lads that say, "Oh, do you know what? He doesn't like me, and I'm getting a raw deal, and I'm not going anymore. He didn't pick me." This sort of shit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
Instead of saying, "Oh, I'll have to go harder."
Do you
know, like,
get everyone just driving into one.
Get everyone driving in it. And as I say, we like Cullihan beat us by 2 points, kick of a ball. You know, we lost Aaron Dunn early in it, like, and Darren Malone picked up food poison that week. Probably our two most consistent players all week. And you're thinking, and then we're the other end of it now, and I'm thinking, lads, another couple of percent. Do you know, I'm not saying we would have won,
but I know what you mean. 2 years down the line, Cullinan are in and against, you know, and the beat. Did they beat Crossmolina in the semi-final? So
you just never know.
You never know.
You never know.
Absolutely. And I suppose big day for Clinch for a year old today.
I don't see the birthday cake, Podge.
No, I was taken away. I suggested it, but no cake for me.
If I suggested, we might have got it.
We went the wrong way about that one.
It's funny the way it goes. A quick year, and you know, like we were talking about it for probably a year and a half before, and it's funny, like even now, particularly with the GA's time of year, it's started kicking in. It's getting busy again. You know, there's lots of stuff happening, and lots of clubs, and you know, from all over the country, which is
it's good. See. Newmarket and Cork there today, Allenwood, Boston, Kildangan, Raheens, Latin O'Reilly's in Monaghan, Clonbelow, Offaly, around Towers, Kilkenny. So it's good. And look, we just want to be there to try help the process and maybe help managers or coaches who are trying to either get in or looking for a next challenge to try to get in with a club, but also for a club to find, you know, the right fit for them, whether that could be their own going off and internally, but if they're looking for something different or people they wouldn't think of, I suppose that they'll come to Clinch. So no, it's good to see. It's been
and a bit of a just pops into my mind a shout out for Brian Lonigan, Monstrevan.
Big win with Loughlin,
great stuff. Like, Brian is a top. We know Brian. We worked with him with underage, top guy. It's great to see him do well. He's a good lad. Like,
he's really good.
Passionate. GA man. You know,
and Loughlin haven't won it since 2013, and probably certainly they're always kind of seen as the fourth, fifth. You know, you'd have your
Yeah.
big three with Eroe, Rathvilly, and Pal.
Yeah.
It's and they are three good sides, so it was huge.
Huge victory
I
for
think
them.
they were 6 points up, and O'Loughlin or Rathvilly got it back level. And it looked like it was all Rathvilly, but a big score then at the end. So yeah, I was thrilled for Brian, as you said. He's really, I always think just with the developments, he's such an authority with players, and has such a respect of them, and he's clued in and knows his stuff.
He knows his stuff.
It was
good day for him, and it couldn't happen to a nicer fella.
Yeah. Best of luck to them in their Leinster Championship, and of course quickly Body Bowden beating Nafina. Probably not saying no great surprise, but with Kilmacud gone, it was a real opportunity maybe, and Nafina maybe. It's hard sometimes when you beat the big favourites, and it's not the fight, you know. It maybe a sense of kind of Meath beating Dublin and then Louth coming in and taking it off Meath.
But, you have to drive for a line.
That Dublin Championship is always it's always a tough one. It's always a tough one. But and look, I said a few more county finals next weekend, and then into Leinster campaigns, and it's good. It's actually great when you're seeing these games, and obviously Clubber has been brilliant for bringing games live. But then when you're seeing, you know, now you're getting into Leinster Championship, you see some cracker games. Ladies Championship, of course, Larry's are out in Leinster as well against Milltown of Westmeath on Sunday. So best of luck to them in their Leinster campaign. So yeah, it's good, it's great. A feast of football ahead of us. Feast of football, yeah. No,
good
Johnny,
stuff.
Thanks a million as always. And thanks for joining us for episode 28 of All About the Game podcast in association with Clinched. You can download our podcast wherever you get it. We'll be there. Cheers. See you next week.